beautiful feed of James. Oh, he throws it down. James picks it out hard and three-pointer. Bang! Oh, nice feed to James. Wow.
Two parts of the Banana Boat crew could soon be joining forces. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that Chris Paul is trying to recruit LeBron James to join CP3 and James Harden in Houston next season. Now, LeBron and Paul have been tight for years and have had several discussions in the past about one day hopefully playing together. Now, originally that was in L.A. when Paul was with the Clippers, but now, according to Woj, the link-up would have to go down in Houston.
I think right now, Chris Paul's focus isn't so much on his own free agency. He's trying to recruit LeBron James to Houston, and that's somebody close to him said to me, he has as focused on recruiting LeBron as anything he's done in this league. He wants to find a way, and you know Daryl Morey in Houston, he always is big game hunting. They love the ability to make changes with their roster, with their cap, be creative. If LeBron said he wanted to come to Houston, they can find a way to make it happen.
ESPN NBA analyst Tom Penn joins us now. And Tom, I love when fans and media talk about putting together teams because it sounds great in theory, but putting it together is not always easy to do. If the Rockets are going to get LeBron, how do they make it work?
More often than not, it's a player recruiting another player,
True.
right? Which you know is going on here. Look, every story with the Rockets starts with the MVP, James Harden. Spectacular year. Chris Paul was excellent next to him, but he's an unrestricted free agent. So if you nestle him into the rest of this roster, Chris Paul wants help, so he goes to LeBron. Here's what LeBron can basically do. He could do what Chris Paul did, opt into his deal and agree to a trade.
Right.
That's what we're going to focus on. We've all been focusing on him opting out and becoming a free agent, but he may very well do what Chris Paul did. So Chris is saying, come on, LeBron. Now, if you're talking of a trade, money matters. This team is over the cap. If they're going to bring in LeBron's $35 million, I'm going to first send Mr. Gordon out in the deal to Cleveland. He goes as a traded player. The money didn't quite match. You need to throw in Ryan Anderson's money, and to do that, I'll bring back Capella, their free agent, who they will re-sign. Now you talk about a much more interesting, balanced lineup. The question is this good enough for Cleveland?
Right.
If Cleveland thinks they're going to lose him for nothing, Gordon and Anderson together is real talent, two starters, real players. I don't know how great it makes Cleveland, but it's certainly better than getting blanked. So the name of the game right here is you got Harden, you got LeBron, and then you know he's back there, Chris Paul. You put those three together, woo!
And if you bring back Clint Capella, who's a pretty good defensive player we saw, going up against the Warriors, we're getting too far ahead of ourselves because there's another place where LeBron could end up. We'll talk about that coming up a little bit later. Tom hanging around with us here on SportsCenter. Bulls drafted North Carolina junior Michael Jeffrey Jordan, number 3 overall, a move that would later produce 6 NBA titles for the organization and eventually lead to a discussion of whether Jordan was the greatest of all time. Here's today's best player on his idol growing up.
What made Michael Jordan such a great player? Competitiveness, persistence, his work ethic, his athleticism, and his understanding of the game. LeBron James has those attributes.
You know, he's like a hero. I think I fell in love with the game because of Mike. Michael Jordan gave me a dream that I could, possibly reach someday. I wanted to be able to fly.
Boy, is he explosive.
Flight number 23.
The power that he has in his game really reminds you of MJ.
Oh, he did it. There, Michael shakes the finger. Throws up the floater. Off course. Good night, Cleveland. That is for you.
Out of my bag of Michael Jordan tricks, I guess.
Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good. The Bulls win it.
When we finally won that first one, it was very emotional. I was like, wow, if I ever win a ring and I finally win that first one, that's exactly how I'm going to be.
Watch how he creates space just like MJ does.
And fading away, something Jordan does so well.
Mike gave me a vision. He was like my superhero growing up. His number shouldn't be worn by any player in the NBA just to show what he did for this game.
Michael Jordan is almost like a god. I didn't never believe I could be Mike.
NBA analyst Tom Penn back here with us on SportsCenter. We talk about all these places about LeBron could end up. But he could stay in Cleveland. In order for that to happen, though, the Cavs clearly have to do something with their roster to entice him enough to stay. And a lot of people are talking about making that deal with the Spurs to get Kawhi Leonard. Sounds great. How do they do it?
It's going to be tricky. I agree. To keep LeBron happy, they need to fortify this with more talent. No better option than Kawhi Leonard. Now look at what Kawhi has. 1 year remaining on his deal at $20 million and a 15% trade kicker if he comes in. So the Cavs need to give up about $20 million to make that work. So, look, if you want to keep him happy, you probably got to look at him and his money to go out. So if you bring Kawhi Leonard in for Kevin Love, the numbers are close. Leonard kicks up to $21.6 million.
Right.
Kevin Love comes out. San Antonio, that's not going to be enough to make them happy, so I think you're going to have to also trade out this 8th overall pick. That's why deals happen around the draft. Maybe R.C. Buford and Greg Popovich think they can get a young replacement talent for Kawhi Leonard, also get Kevin Love as an all-star. Look, I don't know if this one happens. I doubt it, but the clock is ticking, and if it does happen, it could be a heck of a lot more interesting to have him and him as a new dynamic duo. That might be enough to have him stay, and then they can keep the party going in Cleveland.
Clearly works for Cleveland in this regard, if it's enough for LeBron. But for the Spurs standpoint, typically they've drafted at the end of the first round. To get a number 8 pick in this year's draft, how valuable would that be to R.C. Buford and Greg Popovich?
Depends on who they love at 8. I mean, they got Kawhi at 15, I think. You know, they traded back. Actually, George Hill was the trade to get Leonard in there. So they've discovered blue chip talent in that 8 to 15, 16 range. Could they do it again? I don't know. I don't know if that's a good enough deal for them.
We'll find out soon. Of course, the draft coming up on Thursday right here on ESPN.
Guys, thanks. DeAndre Ayton is expected to be the top overall pick. He signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Puma. Today, Puma also announced that hip-hop mogul Jay-Z will be Puma's creative director, so he can now design for Ayton. Our point guard director, Jay Williams, goes next level with presumptive number 1 overall pick, DeAndre Ayton.
Ayton bringing up the floor, 3 on 1. Down. Goes hard to the rim and stuffs it through. Ayton above everybody. DeAndre Ayton way over the top of everybody.
I'm Jay Williams, and this is the next level with DeAndre Ayton. Attention to all PGs on bad teams. Yeah, I'm looking at you. Chris Dunn, De'Aaron Fox, Dennis Smith Jr., Lonzo Ball, D'Angelo Russell. The praying should start right now for DeAndre Ayton to be delivered to your city on draft day. Let me tell you why. He has Anthony Davis' build and length with the offensive arsenal of Al Horford of the Celtics, plus the poise and the potential basketball IQ of legendary David Robinson.
Ayton with throw it down, big man. This is a clinic. Andre Ayton is in the same class as Shaq, Robinson, Ewing, Olajuwon. So this guy is incredible.
Being a PG myself, here's why he's a dream. PNRs, floppy sets, drag screens, DHOs. PNR for people back at home, that's a pick and roll. As a PG, I want multiple options off a pick and roll. A big who can pick and pop and knock down that three-point shot. Also a big who can read the defender, maybe slip this screen and find a way to get a rim run for an easy lay-in. Or a big that comes and sets a screen and then comes back for a re-screen just to hit the defender one more time to send a message. How about a DHL, a dribble handoff? I want a big with a very good IQ that actually can dribble, hand the ball off to a guard shoulder to shoulder, and then hit my player who's defending me also. I also want a big who can maybe recognize that the guard is going to overhelp, and then he can slip it himself, step back, shoot a 3, or find a way to get to the rim and make a monstrous dunk. As a floor general, when I think about DeAndre Ayton, I think Swiss Army knife. He's a tool for every situation. His versatility, size, athletic ability, plus IQ will make him a max player in the near future once he gets to the next level.
Jay, well, thank you. Ayton, the favorite to go to the Suns with the first pick, and his freshman season as Arizona was all fans could have hoped for. One of 4 players to average 20 points and 10 rebounds per game for this season. He joined Sharif Abdul-Rahim and Kevin Love as the only players to be both Pac-12 Freshman of the Year and Conference Player of the Year, and he started for a club of 1 by taking those 2 honors, also being the most outstanding player of the Pac-12 Conference Tournament.
Right now, as a 16-year-old, what's your long-term goal?
To get to the NBA.
My name is Kevin Durant.
Jake Nowitzki.
My name is Jansen Kokumbo.
I just want to come over here and play, definitely. That's 100%.
Personally, to get better, I mean, get my name out there and just keep on working hard.
I always want to be at the top. I don't want to be in the middle, the bottom, average.
There was just no way I was going to go down without a fight.
I mean, they say I'm the best player in the country, and I wanted to keep it that way.
Can you dig it? I want to be an NBA player.
I want to become an NBA player.
Try to make it to the pros if I have a chance.
One time, cause we made it. One time for the greatest. One time for the haters. Go on, put your fingers high. One time if you ballin'. The game keep on calling. They wanna see us fallin', but we gon' put them high. One time.
You know, if you're as tall as Mo Bamba and have the wingspan, you should be pretty good at pop-a-shot. But, hey, why are you blocking the dude next to you, man? Like,
get out.
Mo, stop it. But you know what? Teach him how to win. Hey, let's go all access with the former Texas standout as he heads to New York for Thursday's NBA draft on ESPN.
I'm in Atlanta now, and I'm heading to New York, which is home for me. And I'm very excited to get home, see familiar faces. This is smart right here. You take a sock, stuff it in there, and you make sure your J's, or whatever they may be, don't get crushed. I wear a size 16. I always kept the same size as my age up until I turned 16. Next thing you know, I turned 17, but I was still a size 16. These tires are brand new, so I try to keep them in as tip-top shape as possible. This right here is a tie case. Taking off back to the city. I remember when I was younger, when I watched my first draft, and I was just thinking to myself, like, wow, I would do anything to be in those shoes. So it's a blessing that I'm going to be able to walk across that stage. With us up in a couple minutes, seeing the skyline in the background, no better feeling. Back home in New York, super excited, can't wait for the draft, and I'll see y'all there.
Again, draft coming up on Thursday, and our Jonathan Givony sees Mo Bamba staying in the state of Texas as a pro, heading to the Mavericks with the 5th overall pick. Now, Bamba would be the highest draft pick from the University of Texas since Tristan Thompson went 4th overall to the Cavs in 2011.
Okay, Michael, let's keep it NBA draft. Rare is the Alabama conversation about first-round picks that don't include someone from Nick Saban's roster. In fact, you have to go all the way back to 1996 to find a first-round NBA draft pick from Tuscaloosa. It was Roy Rogers. Thursday night, it will be Colin Sexton, the one-and-done 5-star guard that led the Tide to their first tournament win since 2006. Head coach Avery Johnson said of his Stars game at the next level, quote, his style fits. Our Maria Taylor caught up with Sexton as he gets set to put his game and the Tide back on the NBA map.
Do or die for Bama. Must win to make the NCAA tournament. Sexton got it! He got it! He got it!
Colin Sexton, University of Alabama. I want to say thank you to my parents, because without them, none of this would be possible.
Somebody stop me. I'm out of control.
Sexton nailed it. Bottom. Colin Sexton knocks it home, and Alabama leads by 15.
You chose Alabama partly because Avery Johnson was there and you wanted to learn from an NBA point guard. What did you learn during your time with the Crimson Tide?
Honestly, I learned a whole lot on the court as well as off the court. But I'll say on the court, he just taught me how to adjust to scouting reports from other teams and how to make sure like the first 4 minutes aren't trying to rush a shot or rush certain plays, just like get a flow of the game. And then off the court, he just told me that first impression is the best impression.
In a world of one and done, you made a point of going to school, getting straight A's. You walk away with a 4.0 in your first semester. Why is that so important to you?
School is tremendously important because I remember growing up, I used to have like bad grades and my mama didn't let me play. And that used to just make me so mad. So then that just made me like want to do good in school as well as on the court. So I felt like I had to finish out what I started at Alabama. So I went the whole year.
2 years ago, you're basically unranked high school player, and now we're talking about you as a lottery pick. So describe the evolution of Colin Sexton.
I would say it's a roller coaster, good, the bad. I felt like I just had to prove and show everybody that I could play at the top level and prove to myself that I was one of the top players. I'm just going out there and guarding the best guy on the other team and just like trying to dominate.
Sexton the buzzer. Got it! Colin Sexton, a
are some of the players that you grew up watching that you like to maybe model your game after?
I like watching Allen Iverson just because how much heart he played with the game, and also Westbrook, passion, speed, just athleticism, KG, trash talk, and then his attitude, how he's just a dog on the court.
Okay, so you sit here and you're all calm and nice now, but if people watch you on the court, you do a little trash talking. What is the motive behind the way that you play and use your words as a form of competition?
I feel like when I'm talking, I'm at my best. I feel like if somebody start talking to me and I get into it, then hey, it's gonna be a long night for them.
All right, what do you want your future NBA team to know about you?
That I'm a team player. I do anything for the team, whether that's go and get players waters, anything. I just want to make sure that the team's good as well as me.
You be the water boy?
Hey, if I got to for us to win a championship, that's what I'm going to have to do.
Okay, Sexton, the co-freshman of the year in the SEC, along with Kevin Knox, and that particular honor has meant good things in the NBA draft in recent years. In the last 6 NBA drafts, the SEC freshman of the year has gone no lower than 11th overall, and 3 of those 6 players, Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, and Ben Simmons, were selected with the first overall pick.